So I saw this tweet from Cody Hughes that says, if an athlete's in the middle of a hard training block, newsflash, their readiness score won't be high. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it. Cody's absolutely right. Daily readiness testing and vertical jump is probably the most common one. Doesn't have to be used to make acute on-the-fly changes in training sessions, and it's actually probably best if it isn't. It can be easy to jump the gun and allow for a low performance to dictate the removal of training stress. I used to be guilty of this because I wanted coaches and athletes that I work with to think that I'm science-based and I care more about the sport than the weight room, and I'm not just some weight room meathead. But doing this can create unnecessary variability in training stress when what's more conducive to fitness adaptations is consistent training stress. Making too many changes or too large of changes, especially in terms of the magnitude of stress applied via training, reduces the confidence the training has on positive adaptation. Part of the purpose of training is to induce fatigue, and the nature of sports and practice is going to induce fatigue that you just can't get around. Now, in terms of my own training right now, I'm more or less just playing around with the velocity-based training device that I got, mostly just collecting data. I'm using it a little bit to determine whether or not I will do another rep within a set or if the load I'm using is heavy enough, but I'm mostly using it to determine if the training is hard enough, not the other way around. I'm never looking at bar speed and anticipating a reduction in training workload. If you reduce training stress, whether it's too often or just too much in a given session, fitness adaptations will decline. When you do get back to your normal readiness, you won't be as well equipped to deal with your normal training intensities. When you get to a point where you feel like you can use your normal training intensities, you'll dig yourself an even bigger hole. Sample sizes of what your readiness scores should be, whether you're using jump metrics or anything else like a daily single rep at 80% of your 1 rep max and check the velocity of that rep, should be gathered over extended periods of time and take into account normal coefficient of variation, and should be considered into the trends of your performance. When I say coefficient of variation, I understand that it's not practical for most people to actually calculate that. Just to emphasize the point that you shouldn't notice a 5 to 8% decrease in your best performance or even your average performance and immediately think that you should taper off. Changes based on readiness should really come after several weeks of performance trending downwards. And then that way, changes can then be made on a macro scale to ensure that consistent training stress is applied again. Getting caught up in daily readiness is very noisy and likely unproductive. Anyways, I just saw that tweet from Cody Hughes, so I wanted to give my thoughts on it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and maybe I can clear some things up in another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.